Hello, welcome to this video as we continue our journey through this book, Frameworks, Volume 3, Jesus. Think about who Jesus is, what he's like, how wonderful he is, and how we can worship him more as we're drawn into his life. Today is day 5, Jesus through the Old Testament. Jesus through the Old Testament. On day 4, we thought about creation, how all creation, everything that exists, has been created by Jesus, through Jesus, for Jesus. The question we're looking at today is, well, where does he go from there? After he's created the world, what does Jesus do? Back in the 18th century, there were some new ideas and new ways of doing history had come to the fore, new ways of analyzing ancient texts and manuscripts. And this was applied to the Bible. This was applied to the Old Testament. And the result of a lot of that kind of innovation was that the Old Testament was seen then as a pre-Christian or a sub-Christian text, that really Jesus has nothing to do with the Old Testament. The Old Testament has nothing to do with Christianity. It's a strictly ancient Near East text for the Jewish people in Israel, and it has nothing to do with the Lord Jesus Christ. As if Jesus creates the world and then he disappears off the scene, and he only really reappears in Bethlehem, in the manger, born to Mary. After the events of Malachi, then you get Matthew, and that's when Jesus turns up on the scene again. But up until that point, the idea propagated from the 18th century onwards, and which is massively widespread, even in the churches today, is that the Old Testament really has got nothing to do with Jesus. It's not really a Christian text. I mean, we might find some interesting things in there, but really it's got nothing to do with Jesus. And so the Old Testament is full of stories, some fun ones, some really gruesome ones, but frankly, not that interesting. And the way that plays itself out is that actually plenty of Christians, plenty of churches, don't really engage with the Old Testament. We kind of know some of the stories, but we never really read it because, well, it's not really Christian anyway, so what's the point? Prior to the 18th century, before this innovative new idea, actually for most of human history, for most of church history, the Old Testament as well as the New has always been seen as a fundamentally Christian text. It has always been about Jesus to draw us into worship of him, and through him the Father and the Spirit. Most of church history and the Bible itself, we're going to see in a moment, proclaims that Jesus is Lord. Whether it's a minor prophet like Habakkuk, a major prophet, or the Psalms like a major prophet like Isaiah, or the Psalms, or Genesis, or whatever it is, they're all Christian texts. They're speaking of Jesus Christ, the Messiah, speaking of who he is, speaking of his actions in the world, telling us how and why we are to worship him. Jesus is in view. Jesus is at work from Genesis all the way through to Revelation. And we see that in the way the Bible kind of refers to itself, and the way the Bible interacts with itself. One of the clearest ways is looking at how the Old Testament is quoted or alluded to. The language and the imagery is used again and again and again in the New Testament. Think, for example, in John chapter 12. John writing here, he quotes some bits from Isaiah chapter 6, and then John writes, Isaiah said this because he saw Jesus' glory and spoke about him. Isaiah is not pre-Christian or sub-Christian. It's not got nothing to do with him. It's got everything to do with Jesus. Isaiah saw the glory of Jesus and spoke about him. Paul in 1 Corinthians 10 speaks of the rock in Deuteronomy 32 and says that rock was Christ. Christ was there. He was working. He was interacting with. He was saving his people. Jude chapter 6, who is it that rescues his people, God's people from Egypt? Not just some angel, not just some kind of divine God, but the Lord Jesus Christ is the one who rescued his people, his bride, from Egypt. As a church last year, we studied that. we looked at the story of Exodus. We spent a good few months in it. And my encouragement would be, if you've forgotten some of those things, or you want a refresher, go read the story of Exodus again, asking yourself the question of what do I learn about Jesus? Or what different titles does Jesus have? Where does he show us the Father? Where can I see the Spirit at work through him? And if you really want to get a bit of a refresher, all the sermons on our Exodus series are available on our church website. Do check them out. But whatever you do, let's enjoy reading the Old Testament. Let's enjoy reading the New Testament. Let's enjoy studying the Scriptures, because through it, Jesus is always there. He is working, he is interacting, he is saving, he is rescuing. And the whole Bible, through the Old Testament and into the New, we are shown the wonder and the majesty of this God who loves us, who longs to rescue us. Jesus walks off every page of the Scriptures.